Now, one of the most difficult tests that the car can go through here at News 18 is a long-term test, because the duration of that long-term test, we really use the car as our daily driver and pretty much use it for everything. This is a Nissan Magnite SUV, as you would probably know, because this is one of the most talked about SUVs in the segment. So this car has now gone through a long-term test. I've spent quite a lot of time with it, and here's what I have to say about it. Now, usually in our long-term review reports, we don't really talk about the design elements because all of those things, those nitty-gritties have been covered. You know how the car is. But in the case of the Magnite, I have to talk about the design because this is one of its biggest positives. The Magnite looks fantastic. I think this is one of the best looking compact SUVs that you can buy in the Indian market right now. Having said that, when I got the car, it was pretty much new on the roads and I had people coming out and asking me what this car is and how much does it cost. That is a proper head turner. Now, having said that, I want to talk about the headlamp unit because that was one of the best things that I have had in my entire experience, because this gives you fantastic visibility and it's pretty much at par at much more expensive cars.
But not only does it look so premium that you would slot it in a segment above, but it also drives great. We were massively impressed with the chassis and suspension setup, which makes for a plush and pliant ride. Potholes and bad patches are all dealt with ease, and the Magnite can be driven hard through corners for a bit of fun. All in all, the Magnite's driving experience is right there as the absolute best in the segment in my experience, and it ties with the top spot that is also held by the Kia Sonet. However, the Magnite does not need you to spend a bomb on it. The Nissan had the toughest of weathers Delhi had to offer in the form of some of the most extreme monsoons ever, and the Magnite sailed through all of it.
Now, a quick note, the Nissan Magnite might have aced through the Delhi monsoon season, and it really did, but the only downside that I experienced was that there were some chrome strips over here on both sides of the bumper. Those came out. That's just the glue coming off, but something you should know. Now, coming to the interiors of the Nissan Magnite, again, not going to go too much into details. What I really like are the driving ergonomics. You sit really comfortably here. Everything is well within your reach. You have large glass panels and the visibility is good as well. Having said that, what I didn't really like that much was the plastic quality on the Magnite. But very honestly, it just became a part of the experience. I didn't really notice it all that much. What I really did enjoy though was the multimedia experience in the Magnite, which I believe is one of the best in the segment, simply because it's completely wireless. Now, what I mean by that is you simply take your phone, put it in the wireless charging pad, it will keep charging, then connect it to the infotainment system with wireless Android Auto or wireless Apple CarPlay, and then you can have a completely wireless experience. I would just play some music and leave it on maps on the screen and then just have a very convenient experience.
And speaking of music, the JBL sound system is quite good too, and we won't recommend you to upgrade it right away because it might be good enough already. Give it a try. And as for the quality, I'm happy to report that there were no squeaking sounds at all. The Magnite is built well. What's also impressive is the large boot space, which only adds to the practicality quotient of the car.
Having said that, the thing that I wasn't really impressed with, and that is something that Nissan really should look into, is the instrument cluster experience. Now, there are a lot of animations here. It looks good, good colors, good animations, all of that is all well. But in my unit, what happened was that the instrument cluster did not display the range that the car had on offer, and also the fuel gauge was wonky at best, because I would start the car with half the tank and by the time I've left my colony, it would be down to reserve. I don't know what's up with that. But what I basically ended up using the car as is that I realized it gives about 350-375 kilometers of range on a full tank, and then I just drove it using the trip meters. That is something that Nissan should look into.
And speaking of fuel, we drove the Magnite for over 3,300 kilometers, during which, as per the onboard computer, the Magnite returned a fuel efficiency of 12 kilometers per litre, which is decent for a CVT transmission car.
Now, coming to the rear seat experience of the Magnite, well, it's a great one. Those who are seated here will feel like they're seated in a big car, and you have adjustable headrests, you have a rear AC vent, you have a drop-down armrest. If you put that up, 3 people can sit here. It's a good rear seat experience.
Another handy feature is the 360-degree parking camera, which makes life oh so easy. Lastly, we have to talk about the variant we drove, and it was the top spec variant with the 1-litre turbocharged petrol engine with the CVT gearbox. The drivetrain felt smooth and gave us no issues whatsoever. Special mention for the gearbox though, which is perhaps one of the best CVT transmissions I have used in cars even segments above. That's how refined it is.
So to sum up my experience with the Nissan Magnite, well, it's been an almost perfect one. And mind you, that's a very big compliment because no car is perfect, and reaching an almost perfect stage is a very big achievement for any car, at least in my books. The only chink in the Nissan Magnite's armor then is the instrument cluster experience, but after a while you get used to it. I know I did. Having said that, when you consider the price tag that the Nissan Magnite comes in, you are going to overlook quite a lot of things that I have pointed out, and fairly so, because the Magnite is one of the most affordable compact SUVs in the segment as well. And when you add that into the whole equation, you realize that the Magnite is fantastic value for money, and it's a very high recommendation from our side. My parting thoughts though, well, I'm just sad to let it go.